Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Overrated? Underrated? What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Whatever your opinion is, there is no denying that the Swedish striker has been the centre of attention his whole career. Always in the news, always controversial, and always plying his trade at the top end of European football, Zlatan is a journalist's dream. The legendary forward has now retired after a remarkable career and won't be forgotten easily either. So how about we start this debate with some concrete facts. Let's give you a brief overview of some of the main man's honours before we get into his story. 2 league titles and a Dutch Cup with Ajax between 2002 and 2004. Back-to-back Serie A titles with Juventus between 2004 and 2006, albeit those titles have since been revoked. Back-to-back titles with Inter Milan between 2007 and 2009, a league title and Club World Cup with Barcelona between 2009 and 2010, another Serie A title with AC Milan in 2011, 4 league titles in a row with Paris Saint-Germain, as well as 2 French Cup victories between 2013 and 2016. A Europa League and League Cup victory with Manchester United in the 2016-17 season, and a return to glory in 2022 to win yet another Serie A title with AC Milan. League titles literally followed Zlatan around wherever he went. On paper, it's hard to argue against the Swede. He had an immensely successful career, winning trophy after trophy, and all the while he managed to score over 400 professional goals at club level. He also boasts a record of 62 international goals in 122 appearances for Sweden, their all-time record goalscorer, and by some margin. Perhaps there is only a debate about Zlatan's greatness because he is outspoken about his own credentials. But the proof is in the pudding. Zlatan was one of the elite footballers of the last 20 years, having success wherever he wanted and wherever he went. Born in Malmo in Sweden, Zlatan started his career with his local club as a teenager, signing his first contract in 1996 and breaking into the first team in 1999. Who would have thought that it would take him until 2023 to retire? Zlatan finally called it a day at 41 years of age. He bid farewell to AC Milan, the San Siro, and his playing career this June, and it's fair to say there were plenty of tears, both from the crowd and the former Rossoneri talisman himself. The big number 9 played for a total of 9 teams. He had a love affair with Italy for sure. He donned the colours of AC, Inter, and Juventus, arguably the country's 3 biggest clubs across his career. And while he was there, he won league titles with all of those clubs. He has been named Italian Footballer of the Year 3 times, in 08, 09 and 2011. At each club he made finding the net look easy and was a complete fan favourite. Despite clearly having a thing for Italy, Zlatan tried to conquer as many European leagues as possible. Initially, he would leave his boyhood club in Sweden, Malmo, after scoring 18 goals in 47 games. In the first of many big moves, he joined Dutch giants Ajax for just under €9 million. Zlatan had been brought up in a rough part of Malmo and had a far from ideal home life too. The son of Balkan immigrants in Sweden, his father's roots were Bosnian and his mother's Croatian. As a young boy, he was treated badly by his mother and social services had to intervene. They sent him to live with his father, but things only got worse for Zlatan. His father had an alcohol problem, and a lot of time beer was the only thing in the fridge. Zlatan would go hungry or even try to sneak back to his mother's house for food. He got a bit of a reputation as a bad boy for shoplifting and stealing bikes as a youth. He had a fierce complex of vulnerability and great strength because of his tricky circumstances. Many in his situation would have crumbled under the lack of support and weight of living at such a young age. But Zlatan was motivated to pull himself out of such bad living standards, and he soon found that football would be his vehicle to achieve that. Football brought a routine to Zlatan's early life. It brought a purpose and an element of discipline, and hope and a dream. Perhaps even more importantly, it gave him a support network that he didn't have growing up at home. In fact, as a teen, he nearly quit football to get a job on the docks, but his coaches convinced him to keep playing, and wouldn't that prove to be such a great idea all these years down the line? In 2001-2002, at his new club in Amsterdam, Holland, a young Zlatan Ibrahimovic would break into the starting team for Ajax, and win the first of many league titles. The following season, he made his Champions League debut against French champions Lyon and scored both goals in a 2-1 victory. This kid was special, and back then he was still the gangly Swedish kid, not quite yet the monster physique we became accustomed to seeing later on in his career. Zlatan's stock rose when he scored one of the most iconic goals of his whole career for Ajax, against NAC Breda in 2004, a slaloming run where he comically left numerous defenders for dead as they haplessly tried to predict his next move. Not long afterwards, he would move to Juventus for 16 million euros. In the years that followed at Juventus and then Inter Milan, Zlatan would romp to title after title. At this stage, he would become widely regarded as one of the most dangerous strikers in world football, and his shape developed to add incredible power and physical dominance to his natural skill and unmatchable desire. Zlatan became a brand too. He was a unique footballer that had all the tools to be the most complete striker out there, and on his day, he often did just that. Zlatan too was happy to comment on his own brilliance. He still had that mischievous twinkle in his eye that he showed in the early years in Malmo. He was a humble boy that came from nothing to absolutely bathe in the spotlight that was top-level football. He shone in the limelight, he embraced the fame, and he divulged in taunting and teasing the press and rival fans. Zlatan's strong character clashed with that of Pep Guardiola at Barcelona, to the extent the pair fell out, stopped speaking, and despite having a successful league title winning season at Barca, that would be all for Zlatan at Camp Nou. What did he do? Headed back to Milan, but the red side this time, not the blue. This was prime showbiz Zlatan, the centre of attention in European football, and another league title awaited. In 2012, Zlatan moved to Paris. It was PSG. It was time to conquer France. He was offered a monster contract by the club's new owners, valued at around 180 million euros in total. Zlatan won league titles with ease in France, 4 in a row. PSG also won a domestic quadruple in his time there, and Zlatan dominated the domestic Golden Boot race. He would leave the club later as their all-time top goal scorer. In 2012, he scored yet another iconic goal for Sweden against England. One of 4 he scored on the day, a ludicrous bicycle kick from 30 yards out. The headline act had struck again. There was nobody quite like Zlatan when he peaked on nights like these. In the 16-17 season, he won a Europa League and League Cup double at Man United. In February, he had hit 15 league goals for the season. He was 35 years of age. Zlatan kept shocking the football world and silencing the critics. It's no wonder he loved himself so much. Zlatan then headed to Los Angeles for what proved to be only a sabbatical in 2018 and 2019. Everyone saw this as an obvious retirement move, but the reality is Zlatan realised in the States that he was still far too good, and so he had to come back to Europe and do it all over again. Incredibly, in the twilight of his career, as he hit 40 years of age, Zlatan would score 34 more goals in 64 games during his final spell at AC Milan, in the process leading them to another Serie A title, 11 years after he had done so for the first time. Zlatan had a career a scriptwriter could not imagine. So what are the weak points? Zlatan liked to talk a lot. He was never afraid to be outspoken, at times calling himself the best. But how wrong was he after all? Can you argue with a career like that? Okay, he never won the Champions League, but it doesn't seem like that outweighs his plethora of outstanding career achievements. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. But Zlatan's quality, charisma, and longevity will be extremely hard to replicate in football. That's for sure. Catch us in the next video.